Okay, just some weird stuff here. I talked about Jerome Kersey the other day, and now it seems like almost every day, or just in the past, 10 days, there's been three African American NBA players who have died. Anthony Mason died today. Then you had the first African American basketball player, or to play in a game, who died a couple days ago. And then you had Jerome Kersey, who was number 25 for the Portland Trail Blazers, and he died at age 52, the mirror. And there's some other stuff. Like I said, he died. It's all about love still, love and Valentine's Day and whatnot. And he died in the after leaving the Rose Quarter, and the Portland Trail Blazers used to play at the Rose Garden, but they changed the name in 2013. Anyway, there's Zachary K. Hubbard. Go check out his videos. He does a lot of awesome videos. But he did one about Jerome Kersey and the Blazers and whatnot. And I found it really weird. He's talking about, so Jerome Kersey was born on 6/26/62, and he writes in here, 26 equals God, 62 equals Mason. And then Anthony Mason just died today. I don't know, that's just strange to me. And so Jerome Kersey was a Portland Trail Blazer, and Anthony Mason, although he didn't play for them, he was actually drafted by the Portland Trail Blazers in the third round as the 53rd pick overall in the 1988 draft. He was also born in 66, and he died on 2/28, which breaks down to 114 plus 114, which is 44 and 44. And before I get too far into what I'm going to talk about, I just wanted to show the other guy who died was Earl Lloyd. He was the first black person to play in the NBA. His numbers, he was number 11, number 8, and number 17. I mean, just weird that he was 11, 8, and then 17 in its mirror equal 88. And he won an NBA championship in 1955. So 55, 59. Talked about that forever. And the movie, Remember the Titans, was actually kind of based, not really on him, but it says that it was racially segregated still at the time or whatever, but the high school that he went to, they combined and made the high school that was from Remember the Titans. And I'm not going to go into detail. I got a whole bunch more to talk about. I'm going to come back and actually look through this, though, when I get the chance. Because, I mean, for one, it's Remember the Titans. And then you got Denzel Washington. And just, there's all kinds of stuff in this movie, I'm sure. I need a little more time, and I'll come back to it. And I'm not sure how much longer this whole love theme is going to keep going on. But February 28th is the day that he died, which is, I believe it's today, yes, obviously. Anyway, the Gregorian date, February 28th, is actually the Julian February 15th, which would be the last day of Lupercalia still. So, Lupercalia is will end today also, because on the Julian calendar, it is February 15th. And then he died of congestive heart failure. So he died from heart failure, and then it's during Lupercalia still. And for some reason, I felt like Anthony Mason was on Space Jam, and I didn't see him on there, but I think maybe I'm thinking that is because the Monstars, whatever they're called, the Nerdluckers or something, they steal Patrick Ewing's talent, and they also steal Muggsy Bogues' talent as well. And Anthony Mason played for the Charlotte Hornets, and he was famous for playing with the Knicks, and that's where them other two guys played. But anyway, I just kind of typed in Space Jam and Anthony Mason, and it comes up to, we went to a Space Jam art exhibit, and it was awesome. So at the Marlborough Chelsea Art Museum or something in New York, they opened up a Space Jam art exhibit. And it's really weird, though, because I mean, it's in New York, so that's probably why they did it, but they put Patrick Ewing and Anthony Mason were some of the people that they put on the thing. But if Anthony Mason wasn't in Space Jam, why is he in this art gallery? You know, it just doesn't make any sense. Other than that it's in New York, so they would put him in there, but if it's a Space Jam theme, why is he in there if he's not in Space Jam? And look, the art exhibit was only open until February 14th, Valentine's Day. In the meantime, check out Space Jam at Marlboro, Chelsea, now through February 14th. I mean, so it was only open until Valentine's Day? It's just weird. And they also, one of the show's highlights is its sense of humor, a cast bronze sculpture of a deflated basketball, for example, is titled Fly Like an Eagle, LeBron's. But, I mean, a deflated basketball? I don't know. Deflated basketball, then you had the whole Deflategate scandal, and all that had to do with 49 and whatever. And the NBA actually didn't become the NBA until 1949. So anyway, I thought let's check out Space Jam again here. Space Jam came out on November 15th, 1996. So I thought, all right, well, let's look at that season in the NBA. So the 1996-97 NBA season was the second season when Jordan was back in their second three-peat or whatever. So it was the Bulls won, and it was their fifth championship. So like I said, it was Jordan had retired, and then he did Space Jam, and then Space Jam pretty much predicted him coming back or whatever. But he did come back. All right. And I mean, you just can't make this stuff up is what I'm saying, because like Space Jam didn't predict him coming back. He came back. That's what the movie was kind of about, but it was because Jordan had came back. And Jordan announced that he was going to come back on March 18th, 1995. So, was it 59, 69, 79, 77th day of the year. And then 1995 was when he announced his return in a 2-word press release, "I'm back." The next day, Jordan donned jersey number 45. I mean, this has been playing forever. 45 in Valentine's Day, the 45th day of the year. It's just ridiculous. I mean, whatever. He took the court with the Bulls to face the Indiana Pacers in Indianapolis, scoring 19 points on his first game back when he was number 45. And he'd always been 23 before. But so he had number 45 and he scored 19 points. 19 years after 1995 is 2014, and this is the 2014-2015 season. It hasn't quite been 20 years since Jordan came back, so it was still 14 years. 14 years later on Valentine's Day, all this crap starts happening. And then on his 5th game back, he scored 55 against the Knicks. And Anthony Mason, the Knicks. All right, and I'm getting a little off subject from what I was going to talk about, but I just keep finding stuff here. So Jordan was number 45, and when they first came back, and at the end of game 1 in the playoffs against Orlando, Nick Anderson stripped Jordan from behind, leading to the game-winning basket for the Magic, and he later commented, "Jordan didn't look like the old Michael Jordan." Then Jordan returned wearing his old number 23. Jordan averaged 31 points per game in the series. But check this out here. So, Jordan, the game that he came back was the Indiana Pacers, March 19th, 1995. The 66th game of the season. And if you count them here, you count through here, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. I'm not going to count them all on that time, but it was this game right here on May 7th that he would have changed his number after this game. So he came back as 23 on this game. It was 23 games after the first game that he came back. So he came back wearing 23 after he played 22 games. So on the 23rd game, he changed back to 23. Weird. And 66th game is when he decided to come out of retirement. Also, come on, what are the odds? So the day he changes back to 23 was May 10th, 1995, and Space Jam came out on November 15th, 1996. 555 days apart. And if you go from that day when he turned back, he left 45, and you go all the way to Valentine's Day of this year, it's 7,220 days, or 722, or 227, 227. And I'm not, whatever. This guy just talked about it, February 27th, and it adds up to 44, and then kill adds up to 44, and 22 divided by 7 is pi. Just all kinds of stuff here. And 722, or 227 is February 27th. It's on the Julian calendar. It is 214. It is February 14th on the Julian calendar. The Gregorian calendar, February 27th, is the same as the Julian calendar, 214. Look at that. What are the odds of that? And May 5th, which is 5/5 of this year, is exactly 73,000 days from that day. So, and I talked about how 73 and 55, oh man. I talked about how the 37th day of the year, February 6th, is 88 days away from 5/5. And I just want to make a quick correction. I think I might have said that the Bulls beat the Magic, but they actually lost the Magic. But Jordan came back and played awesome games or something, is what I wanted to say here. The Rockets actually played the Magic in this finals, but the next season in 96, the Bulls won their first one or whatever, and then Space Jam came out later on in that year. Also wanted to point out that last season, 94-95, was also the 49th season. And we talked about Super Bowl 49 and a ton of 49 references. And also, Jordan came back on the 66th game. So there's 82 games, so that's 17 games. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. That means he played 27 games that season. And 1927 is 88 years ago, and I mean, 27 years ago is 1988. So he played 27 games in the previous season, and then the Bulls won 72 games the next season, which is opposite or the mirror of 27, 72. And then the 47th game, so 27 and 47 is 73, or 46 and 27 is 73. And they happened to play the Phoenix Suns on the 37th day of the year, his 73rd game back. And then his 77th game back was on February 16th, and they played the Minnesota Timberwolves, and they got their 45th win. And you had Zach LaVine, who did the Space Jam dunk on the 45th day of the year, and the Bulls played, and he's a Timberwolf, and then you got the Minnesota Timberwolves that they played on Jordan's 77th game back to get their 45th win. And then on their 88th game back, they played the Knicks. Anthony Mason, famous for being a Knick. The Bulls actually lost, so they lost and they still had 54 wins, the reverse of 45. But let's check out the box score here. The Bulls lost by 32 points. And Michael Jordan scored 32 points. I'm not sure if I pointed this out, but 227, I talked about 722 earlier. 227 is the 49th prime number. And Jordan's final game with the Bulls, when they won the third championship on the second three-peat, was June 14th, 1998, and he scored 45 points that game. Okay, so anyway, I just want to get back to Anthony Mason here. So he played for 6 NBA teams, and in 1995, the same year that Jordan came back and played them 27 games that season, he was the 6th man of the year. And like I said, he was drafted to the Portland Trail Blazers in 1988, but he never actually played. but 1988 was 27 years ago. And this year is the Portland Trail Blazers' 45th season. And right now, the Portland Trail Blazers are 4th in the West. They have, so 667 here. And there's only one team in the East that's better, and that's Atlanta. So that means they're 4th in the West and 5th overall with 45. And the number 1 in the West is Golden State, and they have 45 wins to date. So the first season back that the Michael Jordan came back or whatever, the first season that he won a championship again was in 95-96. And I just want to look through here. There's a whole bunch of other things in here. So that season, the NBA makes its first arrival to Canada for the first time since its inception in 1949, as the Toronto Raptors and Vancouver Grizzlies make their debuts as the NBA's 28th and 29th franchises. So 1949, so we talk about 49. The Bulls shocked the basketball world by wearing black socks, claiming this as a redemption to the city's most infamous sports moment, the Black Sox scandal of 1919. And I did videos on that before, and all the 88s and whatnot it has to deal with, even movies that came out in 1988 about it. It was also, Michael Jordan won his 8th scoring title. Magic Johnson came out of retirement to play 32 games before retiring again at the end of the season. And Magic Johnson is number 32. So 32, and he came back and he played 32 games. It was also Kevin Garnett's rookie season. And Garnett was actually a teenager. So he was a teen Wolf because he played for the Timberwolves. And he's been in the news crazy because he finally went back to Minnesota this year. He finally got traded back. And he wants to buy the Timberwolves, and everybody loves him again or whatever. So it's just kind of weird, you know. So a Timberwolf wins the rookie, like USA versus World game. He's the MVP. Then a Teen Wolf wins the a teen Timberwolf wins the dunk contest, and then Kevin Garnett, a past Teen Wolf, goes back to Minnesota this year. I mean, it's just pretty strange stuff. And Kevin Garnett was drafted number 5, so he was the 5th draft pick. In his first game back with the Timberwolves, he scored 5 points, and they played the Washington Wizards, and that is the team that Michael Jordan played his last game with. And he was actually there for this game and this game, so they waited to play him against Washington. Probably because they wanted him to play against Michael Jordan, Michael Jordan's old team. Okay, so then I also said Magic Johnson played 32 games and then retired. He's number 32. He was also born on August 14th, so 8/14/1959, and he is 55 years old. And he also played for Michigan State, and you had Valentine, who made the game winner on Valentine's Day with Michigan State this year. But anyway, the Portland Trail Blazers this season also, it was the longest sellout streak by any team in professional sports, ended at 814, because the team got a different stadium with more capacity, the Rose Garden. So it was the first year that the Blazers played at the Rose Garden, where Jerome Kersey had just left the Rose Quarter where the Rose Garden is. It's just crazy. And so 1996 was a leap year. And then I guess this was in 95 technically that they played at the Rose Garden. But anyway, 8/14 is August 14th. So you got Magic Johnson born on August 14th. Then the streak of 814 is broken that year. And 96, so the season ended in 96. It's a leap year, and August 14th on a leap year is the 227th day of the year. Okay, I'm going to finish it off with Portland Trailblazers stuff here then. They went to 3 NBA finals, and they won 1 championship, their 8th season in 1977. Well, Pete Maravich was the leading scorer that year, and he died on January 5th, 1988. And they played the 76ers in the 76-77 season. They beat the 76ers in the NBA Finals. And the 76ers, I talked about the slam dunk contest. The first slam dunk winner was Dr. J, who played for the 76ers in this season. It was the first season that the NBA and the ABA merged. And Dr. J was number 6 for the 76ers. The Blazers also won 49 regular season games that year. And at the end of the regular season, they were tied for 4th and 5th place with the Houston Rockets. And then they lost to the Pistons in 1990, and I didn't really look that much into that one. But 92 I did, because that's 23 years ago. And the Blazers lost to the Chicago Bulls. And this same year, the Chicago Blackhawks, the NHL team, they made it to the Stanley Cup Finals as well, but they ended up losing to the Pittsburgh Penguins. So the Bulls won, and then both Chicago teams went to the finals. But I clicked on the Blackhawks again here, and I never realized that, well, for one, it says the club's original owner, who owned the club until his death, and he died in 1944, and they were founded in 1926, which was 88 years ago from 2014. So then I just wanted to check out a few players here. Nicholas Batum on the Portland Trail Blazers this year, he is number 88. And he was born in 88. And he is from France. And I mean, I don't know for sure about the connection there, but you had the Charlie Hebdo thing and whatnot this year too, so. And then we got Space Jam numbers here. 0, which is the number of the Monstars, and 42 is the number of Teen Wolf. Michael J. Fox, 42. Anyway, Damian Lillard. And in no way am I saying that Damian Lillard is the Antichrist, but the name Damian in general from the movie The Omen is the Antichrist. Damian Thorne. So another Rose connection. Rose, the thorns or whatever. But if you think that numerology or whatever isn't real, then why in this movie would he be born on, or in Damien and Omen 2 or whatever, born on June 6th of 66. So it would be 6/6 of 66. Why would they do that? Why would they choose June 6th for the Antichrist to be born? And the person who played him in the movie was this guy, and he just so happens to be 44 years old this year. I've never even actually watched this movie, but you just always hear about it, I guess. But the movie is also 111 minutes long, and September 11th is 111 days until the end of the year. And then they have number 42, Robin Lopez. And he was born on April Fool's 1988. He was even number 15 when he played for the Pelicans, or I guess the Hornets. But anyway, so number 15, and he was the 15th pick in the draft in 2008. And also the Blazers logo looks like the 69 of Cancer, or the Cancer in astrology. And it's even red and white, which is like the Valentines colors, the roses. And what's interesting about Cancer in astrology is that like the sign or whatever is from June 21st to July 22nd. So there is a possibility that the NBA Finals could actually end during Cancer. So here's the 69 logo I was talking about. And Cancer is also a water sign. And it is said to be in the house of Neptune. So we've talked about that for how long now? For over a year. And it lies east of Gemini and can be recognized by the Beehive cluster. So Beehive, I mean, we talked about bees a long time ago. And by the way, on that Family Guy video with Randy Quaid or whatever, I missed a part where it shows his beer, but it doesn't show the R. It just shows BEE or whatever. And Galileo Galilei was the first to observe the beehive in a telescope. So let's click on him here. He died on the last day of Lupercalia, or at least it would have been in the Gregorian calendar if it was today or whatever, February 15th. But he died age 77, and then you got Galileo Galilei, so GG, which is 77, and then he died age 77. Also, I'm just going to add this in here because whatever, the video is already longer than crap. But Full House, it was on for 8 seasons, and I see a ton of stuff on Facebook, always about stuff you didn't know about Full House, this or that, right? And Full House was actually set in San Francisco, and that, 49. So, I guess, I don't know. This year, I don't know. Who knows? I think maybe one of these people might die. It just seems like a great year for them to kill somebody off from it. So, I mean, you have like Jodie Sweetin, who is supposedly on drugs forever, and the Olsons or whatever who had problems. I don't know. So they could just kill them off and say they died of drugs or whatever. Just a guess. I don't know. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but the 49 reference to it, and then 8 seasons, just throwing it out there. But I guess I'm just going to leave it at that. There's just so many references. I wasn't even going to really talk that much about Michael Jordan, but then I just kept finding stuff. So I just found it crazy that, 3 NBA players just recently died. They're ex-NBA players, and they're all black, and they all, 2 of them played for the Blazers or whatever. And then, yeah, who knows. So I just started looking stuff up, and there you go. I'm going to end it there, though. Anyway, have a great night, and I got a NASCAR video coming up.